This is the all-new third generation Kia Ceed. Now cars like the Sportage, SUVs for Kia, those are the big sellers. But smaller cars like the Picanto and this, the new Ceed, they are still very important. Now make sure you click subscribe. Just go do that. Make sure you click the little bell icon next to our channel name. And of course, make sure you like this video, comment, share, and visit newmotoring.com. Welcome to the all-new Kia Ceed, and also welcome to Slovakia. Slovakia is not normally a place that car companies choose to launch a car. Sometimes they do, but for the most part it's places like France or Italy, Spain, Germany, Austria. But Slovakia makes sense for Kia because this is where they build the new Ceed. They also build the Sportage as well, and they've been doing it there for many, many years, more than 15 years now. Actually, since 2006, Kia has built 1.3 million Ceeds in Slovakia. 1.3 million. So what do you need to know? Well, it's built on Kia's new K2 platform. So underneath it is a completely new chassis. It's also got a new body, it's got a new interior, it's got new engines, it's got new gearboxes, etc, etc. It's all new. Underneath, even though this is an all-new platform, the wheelbase is exactly the same. The body, the front is a little bit shorter, the back is a little bit longer, and it's 23mm lower to the ground than it used to be, and it's also 20mm wider. It also has a new name. Now I know I still say Kia Ceed, and I've always said Kia Ceed, but Kia has now dropped the apostrophe between the E and the D. So it's Kia Ceed rather than Kia Ceed. As you can tell, Kia worked out that it literally made no difference at all to the way it was said. It was just a complicated way of writing it. So it is now just C-E-E-D. Makes a lot more sense. All of the engines are turbocharged. There's an all-new 1.4 litre turbo petrol with 138 brake horsepower. There's a new 1.6 litre turbo diesel with 116 brake horsepower, and there's a 1 litre 3-cylinder with 118 brake horsepower. And in 2019 as well, there will be a mild hybrid version. The 1 litre is the lightest Ceed you can buy. It weighs just under 1,300 kilos. The 1.4 litre petrol, that's about 15 kilos more. And the 1.6 litre diesel, that's another 70 kilos, thereabouts, more than the 1.4 litre petrol. And I will talk a little bit more about gearboxes in a second, but if you go for the 7-speed double clutch rather than the 6-speed manual, the weight penalty there is about 25 to 30 kilos. This is a 1.4 litre turbo petrol, so it has 138 brake horsepower, 179 pounds-feet of torque. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes 8.6 seconds, and the top speed is 130 miles an hour. At the moment, this is the fastest Kia Ceed you can buy. It doesn't actually make that much noise, this engine. It is very, very quiet, but the flip side of that is when you are trying to enjoy a road, it doesn't make much noise. It is very, very quiet. It definitely makes more noise on the outside than it does on the inside. From the outside it sounds kind of a bit like a hot hatch really. It's got that kind of whooshing turbo noise that you get in hot hatchbacks, but from the inside it's quite quiet. If I put it in second gear now and accelerate, it's not a bad noise, it's just very, very quiet. The power kicks in just after 2,000 RPM. Between 2,000 and 3,000 is when it really starts to wake up. Before that, you're just waiting for the torque to build. And then after that, it pretty even all the way to about 5,000 RPM. After that, starts to lose a little bit of power. Not much though. The red line is 6,500 RPM. Considering this is a very normal engine, this is not a sporty model, 8.6 to 60, that's pretty respectable, I think. Now the steering on the old Ceed was a bit of a weak spot really. Sometimes it just felt way too light, way too power assisted, and just very artificial. To solve the problem, Kia has given the steering system a complete overhaul really. It's an electromechanical steering system, but Kia has improved the weight. They've improved the steering speed. It now turns in faster, and they also spent quite a bit of time on European roads, on UK roads as well, and on tracks. They actually took this to test tracks in Korea and also the Nürburgring. This is a standard Kia Ceed that's been developed on the Nürburgring. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that they want this to be a sports car, they just want it to drive better. They want every car they build to be an improvement on the last one. So is it better? Yes, I think it is. The steering weight is much more consistent. It feels a lot more natural. You can feel as well that it is faster. It definitely turns in quicker than the old car. And I just feel like you can trust it more. You've got a better understanding of where the wheels are pointing and what they're doing. So yeah, all that time on the Nürburgring, it's paid off. As well as all of the changes to the steering, Kia has made some pretty big changes to the suspension as well. You've got fully independent front and rear suspension, and they've increased the stiffness of the front springs by 40%, and they've made the rear springs 10% softer as well, and they've changed how the dampers work. As well as that, Kia hasn't gone down the route of giving different trims different suspension. So the suspension is the same whatever model you go for, unlike, say, the new Ford Focus. So has it all worked? Again, yes, I think it has. There isn't a huge amount of roll, so when you turn in, combined with that sharper steering, it really does turn in. It also feels quite stable when you're braking, and thankfully it still feels comfortable. We've driven on different types of road surfaces today: broken roads, smooth roads, motorways and mountain roads, and it has coped remarkably well. As for gearboxes, with the 1 litre 3-cylinder petrol you can only have a 6-speed manual, but if you go for the 1.4 litre petrol or the 1.6 litre diesel, then you can have either a 6-speed manual or a 7-speed double clutch. This has a 6-speed manual, and while the movement itself is a little bit light, actually the moving from gear to gear, you know what gear you're going into all of the time. It's got quite a nice movement to it. And if you do get a little bit carried away on a mountain road, the brakes are 288mm ventilated discs up front and 272mm solid discs at the back. Not only does this car actually feel quite stable when you brake, but the brake pedal itself, the feel and the weight is consistent and actually very good. As for the way it looks, I was a big fan of the old Ceed. I don't know what it was, but I just really liked it. This, I think, does look very good as well, but I can understand when people have said it looks a bit like the new Ford Focus. There are some similarities there. But overall, I really like it. I think Kia's done a really good job. Will there be a 3-door Kia Ceed? No, unfortunately, there won't be. Kia have said that not enough people bought them, basically, so this will be a 5-door only. Inside, Kia have said that they've taken inspiration from the Stinger, which I kind of understand in the sense that this feels like it's been built very well. Everything feels very solid, but it's nothing particularly special to look at. Whereas in the Stinger you get Alcantara and kind of suede effect kind of stuff on the pillars and things like that. You don't get any of that in here, but overall it's a good place to be. And what I like is the fact that you can get yourself very comfortable. There's a lot of adjustability in the seat and also the steering wheel, so you can get into a very good driving position. Prices start at £18,295, but if you want this car that I'm driving, which is a first edition car, so effectively after a year or so it'll become the top spec trim and lose the first edition name, with the 1.4 litre engine it's £25,750, and if you want it again with a double clutch gearbox, that's another £1,100. I think Kia have just done a very good job. This does feel more confidence inspiring, more fun, more engaging to drive than the old Ceed. And the old Ceed wasn't bad, but it just had a few loose ends, and I feel like with this, Kia have tied them all up. And will there be a Ceed GT? Well, yes there will be. Kia have said that there will be a new Ceed GT, but will it be a bit hotter than it used to be? The old Ceed GT wasn't really a hot hatch, it was more of a warm hatch. It had a little bit more power, but it wasn't a Civic Type R beater. I'd be very surprised if they didn't try and do something a little bit more special, given the fact that companies like Hyundai are coming out with the i30N, cars that are actually pretty serious hot hatchbacks. I think Kia would miss a trick if they didn't do something like that. Would I like to see a car like that? Yes, absolutely. Kia, if you can, build a car with between 250 and 300 brake horsepower. I think a lot of people would thank you for it. What do you think of the new Kia Ceed? Do you think it's an improvement over the old Ceed? Are you looking forward to the new Ceed GT? Do you think it should have 300 horsepower? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, thank you Slovakia. It's been a pleasure. I wish more companies would come here more often.